Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Hare Krishna. Welcome back, friends. And before we begin our study of chapter 7, Jnana-VIJNANA-YOGA, the yoga of knowledge and realization, let us briefly recapitulate chapter 6, Dhyan Yoga, which we did in the last session. So, in the previous chapter, Lord Krishna taught the discipline of meditation and the importance of mastering the restless mind. And how was that? How to control the restless mind? Through abhyasa, through repeated practice and vairagya, detachment, dispassion. He explained that true yoga is attained by one who performs one's duties without attachment and develops equanimity in all situations and steadily turns the mind inward to realize the self. Lord Krishna also reassured Arjuna that no sincere spiritual effort is ever lost. Every step taken on the path of yoga ultimately leads a seeker towards perfection. Having prepared the aspirant through self-discipline, mental purity and meditation, Lord Krishna now takes the next great step in chapter 7. He reveals his true divine nature, explaining who he is, how the entire universe is sustained by him, and how he can be known not merely through intellectual understanding, that is jnana, but through direct spiritual realization, that is vijnana. Thus, chapter 6 prepares the mind for meditation, while chapter 7 unfolds the knowledge of the supreme reality upon which meditation ultimately culminates. So, let us see chapter 7 now, friends. In the first verse itself, Lord Krishna says, Arjuna, now listen how with the mind attached to me through exclusive love and practicing yoga with absolute dependence on me, you will know me in entirety and without any shadow of doubt. Now, the subject of discussion in the present chapter is Bhakti Yoga or the Yoga of Devotion. So therefore, practice of yoga referred to here means practice of perpetual and constant remembrance of God with faith and devotion, fixing the mind and intellect on Him. Now God cannot be defined. He is eternal, true and ancient. He is repository of all virtues, omnipotent, omniscient, all pervading, all sustaining, and all formed, and takes the shape of this world of his own accord through his Yoga Maya. In reality, there is nothing apart from him. The manifest and the unmanifest, the qualified and the unqualified, everything is he. Knowing his reality, thus, without the least doubt or misconception, is what is meant by knowing him in entirety and without any shadow of doubt. Now, in the next verse, Lord assures Arjuna. This is very important verse, very beautiful verse. He says, he assures him, I shall unfold to you in its entirety. This wisdom, that is knowledge of God in his absolute formless aspect, along with knowledge of the qualified aspect of God, that is both with form and without form, having known which nothing else remains yet to be known in this world. So Lord Krishna assures Arjuna that I am going to tell you everything about my both aspects, that is formless aspect as well as with form aspects. So jnana and vijnana lead to a proper realization of the integral being of God. This entire universe is nothing but an insignificant part of that integral being. For him who has known this integral reality of God, naturally there remains nothing to be known. Lord says, all beings have evolved from this twofold Prakriti, and that I am the source of the entire creation, and into me again it disappears. So, a very important verse. He says, all living beings owe their origin, existence, and growth to the combination of these two Prakritis. The word Jagat, that is world, stands for the entire universe consisting of sentient and insentient creation. Just as the cloud springs from the atmosphere, stays in the atmosphere, and gets dissolved in the atmosphere, or in other words, the atmosphere is its sole cause and support, even so, the whole universe springs from God, stays in God, and finally disappears into God. Or, in other words, God is its sole supreme cause and ultimate support. The Lord says, there is nothing else besides me, like clusters of yarn beads formed by knots on a thread. All this is threaded on me. So, God being the cause and support of the universe is but a manifestation of God and nothing else than God. It is customary in India to make a rosary of yarn beads by forming successive knots on a thread and treating such knots as so many beads. Now, just as yarn and yarn alone is present in the thread as well as in the knots formed thereon, even so the whole of this creation is threaded on God. That is to say, God alone permeates all. Or we can say there are so many other examples like in all gold ornaments there is nothing but gold. Gold permeates all the ornaments, gold ornaments. Similarly, God alone permeates all. Now, from this verse 7.8 to 7.11, the Lord says, how I am manifested in all objects. In all the objects, I am only manifested. So, in 7.8, he says, I am the sapidity in water. I am the light in sun and moon. I am sacred syllable Om in Vedas. I am sound in ether. I am manliness in men. Again, he continues, I am the pure order in the earth. I am brilliance in fire. I am life in all beings. I am austerity in men of ascesis. Eternal seed of all beings. I am the intelligence of intelligent. I am glory of the. And in this verse, he says, I am might of the mighty. I am pure desire, that is true desire, according to the scriptural injunctions, that is as per the scriptures. Whatever pure desire is there, I am that. So, all men born of sattva, rajas, and tamas know them all as evolved from me alone. In reality, however, neither do I exist in them nor they in me. Now, this is again very important verse, but a little confusing. The last sentence, neither do I exist in them nor they in me. So, we will try to explain that. So, first, let us see what he means by sattva, rajas, and tamas. So, all good and evil qualities and actions, and whatever other entities there are, they are all included in entities born of sattva, rajas, and tamas. All these entities evolve and develop from the Apara Prakriti. Apara means lower nature of God, the lower nature of God, not upper. Upper is para. and lower is Apara. This you please remember. He is the root, support, base, and illuminator of all of these. All are evolved from God. That is, He is all in all. The cause and the effect, which seems distinct, but the effect has no separate and independent existence from cause. As I told you earlier, in gold ornaments made of gold, there is nothing else in gold. Similarly, the universe evolved from God is nothing else besides God. Now you see that sentence, we'll try to examine that. I'm in, I'm not in them, and they are not in me. This means that those attributes have no independent existence of their own besides the Lord. Everyone who is born perishes. If God had been in them, God also would have perished. But that is not true. God is imperishable and eternal. We know all that. So God cannot be in them. And on the other side, if any other persons would have been in him, they would also become imperishable and eternal, so that the statement, they are not in me, is also true. As clouds evolve from ether, reside in ether, and dissolve in ether, yet ether remains the same, isn't it? So, without any modification, all the divine glories described from the, that is, eighth verse up to this verse, evolve from the Lord, reside in Him, and dissolve in Him. So, this is was quite important verse. So, I hope I have made it clear. Lord says, the whole of this creation is deluded by these objects, evolved from the three modes of Prakriti, that is Maya, Sattva, Rajas, and Tamas. That is why the world fails to recognize me, standing apart from these and imperishable. So, you see, human beings forget the supreme object of life. They forget, completely taken up as they are with the evolutes of the three gunas, their faculty of judgment has got so blunted that they fail to recognize any duty or goal of life other than the accumulation of objects and their enjoyment. The reasoning faculty of these men, deluded by worldly enjoyments, does not reach beyond the perishable realm of the three gunas. Hence, they fail to recognize God. Now, again, this is very important verse about Maya. Now, the Lord says, for this most wonderful Maya, wheel of mine, consisting of the three gunas, that is, modes of Prakriti, is extremely difficult to break through. Those, however, who constantly adore me alone are able to cross it. Now, the Maya is not of an ordinary type. It is God's own most wonderful power. That is why it has been called Devi. Devi. And finally, by calling it mine and extremely difficult to break through, the Lord indicates that He, being the Lord of this Maya, man cannot easily get over it without taking refuge in Him. So we have to take refuge in Him. Only then we can break this Maya to know Lord. The Lord says, best is the man of wisdom ever established in me, and possessed of exclusive devotion. For I am extremely dear to the wise man who knows me in reality, and he is extremely dear to me. See, so Lord says that wise man is extremely dear to me. How beautiful it is to be, dear to the Lord. Now, here there are two words which I would like to emphasize in this verse. One is Nitya Yukta. Nitya Yukta. The word Nitya Yukta refers to him who is ever and constantly established in God alone. Nitya. Having lost all consciousness of the world, of his own body, of his very self, and the word, and the next word is Ek Bhakt, Ek Bhakti. Ek Bhakti stands for him who cherishes motiveless and concentrated love for God alone. So these two words are very important. So I thought I'll explain these two words, Nitya Yukta and Ek Bhakti. Now the man of wisdom who knows the truth about God has both these virtues fully developed in him. So it is therefore that these two adjectives have been used with reference to that Bhakta alone, who is that wise man. Now, who is very dear to the God, he says, a devotee who has fully realized the truth and mysteries of God, who sees everything as God and beholds him everywhere and at every time, in whose eyes nothing remains apart from God, are altogether freed from attachments and desires, and are merged wholly in God. Who can measure the depth of love such a devotee cherishes for the Lord? And it goes without saying that he who holds God so dear should be extremely dear to God. So God himself is an embodiment of love by his very nature. This is another very important verse where Lord Krishna says that all those men who worship me, they are all very noble. But the man of wisdom is my very self. Means man of wisdom. Who is man of wisdom? Jnani. Such is my view, he says, such is my view. For such a devotee who has his mind and intellect merged in me, is firmly established in me alone, reaches the highest goal. Now, before we come to the Jnani type, or we see that, let us first examine who are all the four types of devotees, which he is talking about. Now, the first devotee is Artharthi. Now, who is Artharthi? Now, the devotee of the Artharthi type, he craves for enjoyments of this world, even next world, that is next birth. But he has full faith on God and he depends on God alone for the satisfaction of his desire and practices all adoration, worships him with reverence and faith for such satisfaction. So he is Artharthi. He worships God, he has faith on God, but he desires money. Simply, money, wealth, and all the enjoyments of this world. Next, who is the next type of devotee? Next type of devotee is Artha. Now, who is Artha? He he practices again with full faith and full devotion, but for for the he desires elevation of physical or mental agony, or with a view to securing relief from adversity, fear of enemies, ailment, ignominy, or the fear of being attacked by thieves. So he has another desires. All these desires are related to his fear, his mental agony, or some fear. So to remove that fear, he worships God. Now this was a second type of devotee. Third type of devotee is Jigyasu. We call him Jigyasu, or a seeker. Who is that Jigyasu? He doesn't seek pleasure or enjoyment, nor loses his nerve in the face of worldly danger. He is not bothered about, he doesn't fear, he doesn't require any wealth, he doesn't require money, he doesn't require any other desires. His only interest lies in knowing the truth about God. He only wants to know about God. But what is truth about God? This shows that although he has no attachment for worldly enjoyments, the craving for liberation nevertheless lingers in him. That is, only the desire for liberation remains in him. Now the fourth type is the jnani, who Lord is talking about. The jnani, however, who knows the truth of the integral divinity, constantly and lovingly adores God as a matter of course, without any other motive or interest. Therefore, he is best of all. Although all devotees who worship God in any form or shape with unflinching faith, they are all noble souls. We don't say they are wrong. They are all noble souls, but they have the only difference between the jnani or the wise man or the man of wisdom is that he does not desire anything. The rest, other three, are they have some desires. Because of that only they worship. Of course, Jigyasu is quite close to the, according to me, Jnani, because the desire for liberation, in fact, is no desire. They say desire for liberation is acceptable, so you can desire for liberation. But still, even that desire must go when you advance in meditation or you progress spiritually well. So here the again, so that is why the Lord says that Jnani is his own self. The Lord shows that there is no difference whatsoever between the man of wisdom and himself. Such a devotee is the same as God, and God is the same as devotee. There is absolute identity between the two. So that means there is no difference between God and that Jnani or the man of wisdom. So they are both the same. So such a devotee ever remains constantly and unshakably fixed in God, regarding Him alone as the supreme and ultimate goal and the supreme refuge. So this is a very important verse, and I hope I have explained to you all the four types of devotees. So the best one is the Jnani, whom we call, or the man of wisdom, or the wise man, where there is no difference between God and a Jnani or wise man. Now, these are two last verses wherein very important. The Lord says, "They who take refuge in me strive for deliverance from old age and death. Know Brahma, the absolute, and the whole Adhyatam, that is the totality of jivas or embodied soul. The entire field of karma action, as well as my integral being, comprising Adibhut, the field of matter, Adi Dev, that is Brahman, and Adi Yagna, the unmanifest divinity dwelling in the heart of all beings as their witness. And they who possessed of a steadfast mind know thus, even at the hour of death, they too know me alone." Now, you see, it is so important that we all want deliverance from old age and death. No, we don't want old age and death. But deliverance from old age and death is impossible so long as one does not secure immunity from birth. Birth होगा तो old age और death तो होगा. So, and immunity from birth is attained only when the jiva is wholly freed from the bondage of karma caused by ignorance and realizes God. Now, realization of God again is attained only through constant practice of adoration, carried on at all times with firm determination and in a disinterested way, that is desirelessness. And such adoration is possible only when man, taking recourse to company of holy men, is freed from sins and totally renounces all the evil impulses of the mind. So the mind of man remains crowded with desires for various kinds of enjoyments and the desire for deliverance from birth and death. Now, which follows the eradication of all the desires, does not awaken in their mind at all. The mind of such a sinless person alone is possessed with the blessed desire of being rid of the whirling of birth and death, and knowing not attaining God at the earliest moment. So it is therefore that the Lord says, He alone who, giving up dependence on all worldly objects, depends wholly and solely on God, and keeps his mind and intellect constantly devoted to God alone, with unwavering faith, is said to strive, having taken refuge in God. So this is the only way where we can, come out of the bondage or the chain or the cycle of birth and death and become liberated. So this is why we want a liberation. So friends, here we end this chapter and we'll close this by giving short resume of this chapter. So friends, we come to the end of this seventh chapter, which is Jnana-VIJNANA-YOGA, the yoga of knowledge and realization. So in this chapter, Lord Krishna reveals his supreme nature and teaches Arjuna that true wisdom lies not merely in intellectual knowledge, that is jnana, but in direct realization, which is vijnana, of the supreme reality. He explains that he is the source, sustainer, and ultimate dissolution of the entire universe, declaring there is nothing whatsoever higher than me, and that all beings exist in him like pearls or like thread strung on a thread, yarn strung on a thread. So Lord Krishna further reveals that his lower nature, that is Apara nature, consists of the eightfold material elements, while his higher nature is the conscious principle that sustains all life, that is pure consciousness, is his higher nature, that is Para. He pervades creation as the essence in everything. The taste in water, the light of the sun and moon, the sacred syllable Om, and the strength free from selfish desire. So, deluded by his divine power, Maya, people fail to recognize him. But those who surrender to him easily cross this illusion. Among devotees, so among all the four categories of devotees we have seen, so the wise, that is Jnani, who worship him in unwavering devotion, they are the dearest to him because they realize him as the supreme self in all. So there is no difference between the Jnani or the wise man and Lord. This we have seen. So at the end, he says that the true Jnani, it he what he does is a complete surrender, unwavering devotion, and the direct realization that the entire universe is a manifestation of the one supreme Lord. So this is the main teaching of this chapter. I'm sure you would have liked this chapter very much. Very important chapter, and Jnana-VIJNANA-YOGA, and definitely you would have liked it. If you have any questions, please do write in the comment section. Thank you very much. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Hare Krishna.